You might assume that the moment you finally go silent, walk away, and cut off all contact with a narcissist, the story ends there, that they'll move on, find a replacement, and continue as though nothing ever took place. But here's the reality most people miss. Escaping their grasp isn't the conclusion, it's the beginning of their silent unraveling. Narcissists don't collapse in obvious ways with visible tears or dramatic outbursts. Instead, their breakdown is quiet, internal, and agonizingly private. They don't mourn the loss of love. What they truly lose when you leave isn't a relationship, it's control. It's the steady supply that once kept their inflated ego afloat. And what shatters them more than rage, more than begging, or even a direct confrontation, is one thing alone: your silence. When you stop reacting, when you no longer check, when you refrain from even mentioning their name, that silence isn't simply the act of blocking a number or deleting a profile. It becomes a potent, wordless declaration. You no longer have access to me. It's a clean, final severing of the emotional tie they used to feed from. It's your way of stepping out from the web that they spun so tightly, of manipulation, gaslighting, and false hope. And in doing so, by refusing to respond at all, you're not merely walking away. You're tearing down the very foundation they relied on to feel important. Without someone to control, without someone reacting to their chaos, they no longer know who they are. And in that void, reality begins to settle in. They've lost the one person who gave them power without condition. In this video, you'll be taken through the hidden, internal stages of a narcissist's collapse after you've gone no contact. From denial to rage to a quiet, creeping desperation. You'll understand why your silence more than your anger is what truly frightens them. Stay with us through the end, because the more you comprehend their unraveling, the stronger your boundaries will become. If you're walking the path of escaping narcissistic abuse or working to hold your ground in no contact, make sure to subscribe. This isn't about blame, it's about awakening, and never again letting yourself be pulled back into a game you were born to walk away from. Stage 1. Denial. They don't believe you've actually gone. The moment you disappear from their reach, no replies, no texts, no explanations, the narcissist refuses to accept that you've left for good. Instead, their first response is denial, a distorted, deep kind of denial. She's just playing games, or he's testing me. He'll come back, he always does. The idea that someone could walk away and never return doesn't register in their world. Every time you forgave them, each time you returned after pain, was proof in their mind that you had been trained to stay. For them, love was never about connection. It was always about control. And you'd been under that control long enough for them to believe escape was impossible. So, they carry on as if nothing happened. They laugh, post beautiful photos, and show off how great life is without you. But this isn't emotional stability. It's a mask covering a truth they're too terrified to face. They don't chase or panic right away because, in their mind, you're still theirs. They believe your silence is simply another game, a move in a strategy they've seen before. They're betting on history repeating itself. But when days go by and you still don't return, no late-night texts, no cryptic posts, no emotional signals, that's when the internal chaos begins. They won't say it, but they feel it. This silence isn't impulsive. It's deliberate. It's frighteningly final. Their denial starts to fracture, though they keep trying to patch it with flimsy reassurances. She's just seeing how far she can push, or he just needs space. They may test the waters with a neutral message, hoping for any response. And when none comes, they retreat, whispering to themselves, no one really cuts ties forever. But deep within, something unfamiliar begins to rise, a true sense of lost control. No guilt, no promises, no lingering illusions are left to pull you back. And what haunts them most during this stage isn't your absence, it's that you left without leaving a way back. No anger, no final scene, not even a plea for closure. You disappeared in a way that makes them question whether they ever had real power in your life at all. And that realization suffocates them, not out of love, but because now they are forced to confront themselves with no one left to reflect them. Stage 2. They feel the loss of power. After lingering in denial, something more terrifying begins creeping into their awareness. The undeniable loss of power. Those comforting thoughts like, she'll be back, or he's just mad, begin to fade. The illusions that you're just playing a game no longer soothe them. The truth starts tapping at the door. Maybe you're actually gone for good. For most people, being left triggers sadness or reflection. But for a narcissist, it feels like the entire structure of control is collapsing. Your relationship was never about deep love. It was about maintaining dominance. Every tear you cried, every message you sent, every heated word was proof they still had control. But now, everything has gone silent. You're not responding, not accusing, not reminiscing. And this silence isn't like before. It's not tactical or momentary. It's real. It starts to unravel them because your silence isn't just absence. It's non-existence in their emotional world. Narcissists don't possess a stable sense of self. They only know who they are through the reflection of others' emotions. Without someone to provoke, guilt trip, or manipulate, their identity begins to dissolve. You, the one who once held the emotional thread, have vanished from their universe. They've lost the mirror they depended on to feel real. This internal collapse doesn't come from heartbreak. It stems from the void of lost control. And to a narcissist, that's equivalent to losing their identity. They may try subtle methods to check if they still affect you. A cryptic post, a vague message through mutual friends, or a photo with someone new. But none of these are rooted in genuine feeling. They're tests, attempts to see if they still matter to you. When there's no response, that sense of powerlessness becomes undeniable. What truly terrifies them isn't the thought that you forgot, it's knowing they no longer have control over you. And without you in their grasp, they have no idea who to be. They're no longer the villain, no longer the victim. With no one to bounce off of, they're left in the company of their own emptiness. Stage 3. They revive old roles, from victim to false awakening. Once the panic of lost control starts to settle in, the narcissist turns to a familiar tactic. They revive the roles that once worked. But now they understand the old tricks, rage, threats, emotional outbursts no longer reach you. You didn't flinch, didn't respond, and stayed silent. So this time, they shift. They adopt something gentler, something more calculated, the role of the victim, or worse, the illusion of being spiritually awakened. They begin presenting themselves as the one who's been wounded, not directly by you, but by life, by past trauma, by circumstances beyond their reach. They rewrite the narrative into something more tragic, more palatable. Maybe it comes in the form of a vague post. Sometimes we lose the best things before we know how to hold them. Or a quiet message. I understand why you left. I'm working on myself. But make no mistake, it's all crafted for one reason, to trigger your empathy. They know your depth, how much you once cared, how hard you tried to see the good in them. And now they're speaking directly to that old part of you. The one that once believed in their potential. They don't scream, they murmur. They don't demand, they confess. But behind every whispered word is a single goal, to pull you back in. And if the victimhood doesn't draw you close, they evolve again. Now they're enlightened. They speak of therapy, of healing, of inner work. They use words you once said, mirror phrases you once hoped to hear. They talk about growth, about facing their demons. But here's what you must hold on to. Real change doesn't come with an agenda. Real healing doesn't need to be validated by your return. For the narcissist, this spiritual awakening is just another costume, sleek, attractive, well-rehearsed. And if even that fails, they pivot once more. Now you become the ungrateful one, the cold one, the one who refused to give a changed person a second chance. They alter the script so that they appear to be the one who tried, and you become the one who walked away too soon. It's still a performance, but this time it's more refined. No shouting, no chaos, just calculated lines, soft tones, and staged humility. But this time you don't respond. You don't correct their version of the story. You don't explain, clarify, or defend. And in that stillness, they feel the shift. Their script no longer has an audience. Stage 4. When they use someone new to regain a sense of control. When all else fails, when the victim act, the enlightenment facade, the remorseful apologies no longer reach you, the narcissist grabs for a desperate familiar tool, the replacement. They find someone new, sometimes quickly, sometimes loudly. They flaunt it. They post affectionate moments, declare that this is the happiest they've ever been. But don't be deceived. This isn't love. It's panic dressed up as passion. When you walked away in silence, you took something they couldn't replicate, a reflection of their power. You were the one who made them feel admired, validated, desired. And with your absence, they didn't just lose you, they lost the role they played through you. Now they need someone, anyone, to fill that void. It doesn't matter who the new person is. Compatibility isn't the point. What they seek is psychological footing. And if this person can trigger jealousy in you, plant seeds of doubt, stir up confusion, that's even better. That's the win they want, because they know you'll see it. They count on it. They want you wondering, are they happier now? Was I the problem? Did they finally change for someone else? But the truth is, the new person isn't proof they've moved on. It's evidence they can't be alone with themselves. They're scrambling to find in someone else what they lost when you left. They play the same part again. And over time, this new partner will begin to notice. The charm will feel forced, the control will show up in subtle ways. The patterns will repeat. And when that new person stops reacting the way they need, when they stop feeding the narcissist's illusion of control, the cycle will begin again. But you're different now. You're no longer part of the performance. You no longer feel envy, you don't compare, you don't ache. And that unsettles them more than anything, because deep down, they know they haven't replaced you. They've only lost their ability to manipulate you. Stage 5. Even with someone new, they silently keep watching your life. To the outside world, everything looks fine. You see them with someone new, smiling, posting, interacting, a picture of happiness. But behind that curated life, there's a quiet obsession still burning. They're watching you, closely, quietly, consistently. To a narcissist, you weren't just someone they dated. You were a source, the one who responded, who absorbed, who reacted. And your disappearance didn't just remove you from their life, it erased their place in yours. They may have replaced you in name, in photos, in labels, but your emotional imprint, that's something they can't scrub away, because they no longer control it. That's why they check your social media, why they ask mutual friends about you, why they collect fragments of your life like a detective piecing together a case. They do it because you're the thread left untied, the outcome they didn't anticipate. You didn't leave screaming or crying, you didn't beg for closure. You simply walked away, silently and fully. And now, you exist outside their narrative, uncontained, undefined. With the new partner, they're just repeating the same old story. But with you stepped off stage completely. That's what terrifies them. They have no idea what you're thinking, feeling, doing. If you post something happy, they wonder if you're pretending. If you stay silent, they assume you're still watching. If you succeed, they compare. If you move on, they spiral. But they don't watch because they love you. They watch because they need to believe you're still impacted by them. They can't tolerate the thought that you might be truly happy without them, without closure, without reconciliation, without their presence. What hurts them most isn't being hated, it's being irrelevant. And the cruelest irony is this: the very silence they once dismissed now screams the loudest. No final message, no goodbye, just a life, moving forward. And they still watch, hoping for a moment you'll glance back, respond, reach out. But you don't. And in that stillness, without a single word, you've delivered the message they feared most. The game is over, and you're never stepping back into it. Stage 6. When they begin to lose control over the new supply. At first, everything with the new partner seems to flow. Smiles, declarations, photos, displays of affection, everything designed to look like a healthy, balanced relationship. They're eager to showcase it, as if this time, it's finally different. But underneath that polished surface, a slow unraveling has already begun. Because the narcissist starts to sense something uncomfortable. They can't control this new person the way they once controlled you. With you, they had time. Time to study your emotional patterns. Time to condition your responses. To learn when to give, when to withdraw, when to charm, and when to punish. But this new person, they haven't yet memorized the script. They're not trained. They're still responding like someone grounded in their own emotional reality. The narcissist starts testing them. A quiet criticism, an emotional withdrawal, a hint of disappointment. All subtle manipulations designed to see if this person will fold. But instead of reacting in fear or guilt, the new partner asks questions, pushes back, challenges the behavior. And that throws the narcissist off rhythm, because what they expect isn't happening. Their silent treatment doesn't spark panic. Their passive-aggressive comments don't provoke over-apologies. Each attempt at regaining dominance falls flat, and with each failure, the narcissist grows more uneasy. The control they once relied on so easily is slipping. That's when the mask begins to crack. The charm starts to fade. The healed version of themselves, the calm, enlightened persona, starts showing irritation, impatience, and subtle blame. The new partner begins to feel it too. That sense of something being off, the confusion, the emotional pressure. And if they're self-aware, they'll start putting the pieces together. This relationship doesn't feel as real or as safe as it once seemed. The more the narcissist feels that control unravel, the more they reveal who they truly are. The manipulation ramps up, but it doesn't work like it used to. And the new partner, now sensing the truth, begins to pull away, setting boundaries, asking questions, saying no. And for the narcissist, the spiral begins again, just like it did with you. But now, there's no fallback. You've already walked away, and this new partner is waking up too. So the narcissist finds themselves caught between two fading realities, the one they lost and the one they can't seem to control. Because the truth is this: the new person was never a cure, never a sign of growth. They were a placeholder, a distraction from the emptiness they still carry inside. And now, as that illusion crumbles, the narcissist isn't just losing a partner, they're losing the last thread of the story where they still had power over someone. Stage 7. They will try to re-enter your life the moment they see an opening. Don't let the image fool you. The smiling photos, the moved-on performance, the fresh start with someone new. For a narcissist, no one ever truly replaces the person they once controlled successfully. And if that person, you, walked away without giving them the dramatic final act they expected, they never truly let you go. No matter how many new connections they flaunt, how many stages they set, you remain a live wire in their mind. Not because of love, but because of unfinished control. They don't see you as the past, they see you as a role they never got to complete on their terms. So the moment there's a crack in the door, a moment of silence, a hint of nostalgia, a tiny signal, you'll hear from them. It may be subtle, just checking in. How have you been? Or emotional, I miss those calm moments with you. Or even silent, liking an old post, re-adding you on social media, reaching out through a mutual friend. But every move is a test, a check, a probe. They don't want to know how you are, they want to know if they still affect you. One response, one emoji, one word. To them, that's a green light, the go-ahead to try again. Because in their mind, if they can just re-enter, they can reclaim the power they lost. But make no mistake, they're not coming back to reconnect. They're returning to restore a dynamic, the old one, where you were open, forgiving, easy to bend, where they called the shots and you adjusted to fit. They may say, I've changed, I've done the work. But beneath it all, it's not humility, it's hunger. Hunger for validation, hunger for control. Even if their world is falling apart, even if the new supply has rejected them, you, the one who got away, become their last hope for restoring the illusion of power. But this time, you don't answer. You're not waiting. You don't flinch. You've left the stage, and you no longer need to play the part. Stage 8. You walk away for good, and a quiet, miraculous rebirth begins. They return, just as you always knew they would. Softly, subtly. Maybe wrapped in apologies or disguised as someone entirely new. They're not asking for commitment, they're looking for cracks, just a flicker of uncertainty, a trace of doubt, something they can use to slip back in. But this time, you don't shake, you don't waver. Because this time, you're not just silent, you've truly let go. Not out of exhaustion, but from clarity. Because now you understand the power of a full, clean break. You've come to realize that every time you let them back in, it cost you something. Your peace, your self-respect, your wholeness. Each forgiveness left another crack in your foundation, but not anymore. This wasn't a rash decision. It was a conscious awakening, a deliberate step out of a story that was never yours to carry. One where love meant surrender, and strength was punished. You stopped waiting for their growth because you finally chose your own. And so the rebirth begins, not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, subtle, real. It blooms in your boundaries, in your deep, steady breaths, in the peace you hold without apology, in the voice inside you that whispers, I don't belong in that world anymore. You no longer need their recognition. You no longer seek their apology. And that miracle, it isn't found in their return. It's found in your stillness, your refusal to chase what was never real, your ability to walk away not to punish, but to protect yourself. They might still watch, still call you cold, say you've changed, but you know it's true. You're not cruel. You're finally free. And that freedom, it doesn't scream. It shines so brightly even they can't deny it. Because you are no longer theirs to read, no longer theirs to predict. You've come home to yourself. Stage 9. Your freedom is what finally breaks them. There are no more reactions now. No angry messages, no explanations, no desire left to be seen or understood. You don't need to show them you've healed. Your stillness says more than words ever could. And that is what finally breaks them. When you were silent, they clung to the fantasy that you were still hurting. When you were angry, they took it as proof that they still mattered. But now, you are calm, you are grounded, you are unshakably free. And in that, they no longer know where to place you. You're no longer a villain, no longer a victim. You don't fit into any story that lets them stay relevant. You've become something terrifying to them, unreachable. Not because you blocked them, but because they no longer have any part of you. No emotional hook, no unfinished conversation, no illusion to hold on to. And that is the wound they can't soothe. Because narcissists cannot stand to be forgotten. They don't fear hate, they fear irrelevance. And you don't hate them. You don't need revenge. You don't even think about them anymore. You're too busy living. They may pretend they never cared, they may claim it's all in the past, but deep inside, the obsession simmers. Because you are the proof. The proof that someone can escape, that someone can heal, that their control has limits. They may never show it, but they feel it. A slow, gnawing emptiness. A collapse that doesn't happen in public, but in quiet moments, when no one is left to reflect their illusion back to them. But you don't need to see them crumble. You don't need to hear the apology. You don't need to win. You only need to keep moving forward and never look back. If you've made it to this point, chances are you once gave your heart to someone who only knew how to take. You tried, you hoped, you believed in change that never came. And maybe for a while, you thought their chaos was love, that the pain was just part of the process. But now you know the truth. The most important part of your story is not that you were hurt. It's that you rose. You didn't rise in revenge. You didn't rise by proving them wrong. You rose by no longer needing to. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped breaking your own heart for someone who called it love. You stopped fighting to be understood by someone who never wanted to see you clearly in the first place. And in that stillness, in that space you created for yourself, something miraculous happened. You came back to life. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but gently, in the mornings that weren't heavy, in the nights that no longer ached, in the moments where peace finally felt normal. You began to live, not for them to notice, not for them to regret, but for yourself. And that's the moment you truly became untouchable. Because the one thing a narcissist can never steal is a soul that has returned to its own truth. A heart that no longer craves chaos, a mind that no longer needs to be right to be free. They will go on rewriting the story. They will perform for new audiences. But the part of you that once played along has exited the stage. No goodbye, no grand finale, just silence and healing. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone to know what it took to walk away. You only need to remember this. Your freedom was never about their downfall. It was about your return, to your power, to your peace, to yourself. You didn't just survive, you transformed. And no one, not even the one who tried to break you, can ever take that away. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.